Tennessee This Week from WATE's 6 on Your Side starts now.
Hello and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Bo Williams. Election day has come and gone here in Knoxville, and this week we're joined by one of the winners in the city's 5 city council races. Nathan Honeycutt won the District 2 race and joins us now. First of all, thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Bo.
Congratulations, I guess is in order. Let me just kind of get your thoughts, the whole process and getting to this point now as you look back on the campaign and everything.
Oh, absolutely. It was an incredibly rewarding experience. I mean, from start to finish, I got to see so much of my community. I got to meet so many new people, and I got to hear directly from, our city about what's important to them, and to be able to hopefully carry that message forward into city council.
Obviously, you go in with a plan and a thought process,
Yeah.
but like you said, once you get out and actually start meeting some people, and it's hard to know everybody in a certain area, but as you do get out, did you learn things as you were going through that and thought, okay, well, that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that before.
Well, I say this all the time, that one of the things going into this process that I was most sort of hesitant about was I was honestly concerned about the level of maybe division or animosity in our community. And one of the most rewarding parts of this entire experience, after knocking on thousands of doors and going to countless neighborhood meetings and neighborhood associations and picnics, is that we have so much more in common than we have in our differences. And everyone just wants positive leaders who are ready to work together for common sense solutions for everyday families. And just the support behind that and the kind of cohesiveness that is actually in our community was an incredible, rewarding experience that I learned along the way.
Let me ask you this, because you said you were out, knocking on thousands of doors, going to all these different events as well. Is that, because when you look at the final total at the end of the night, pretty substantial win for you.
Yeah.
Is that what you think was a huge chunk of that, was actually getting out there? And
yeah, I mean, we're fortunate to have a large win, 24 points, and I think to me that was it was a statement about how much work we did and how much we went out and talked to people. But I think it's also a statement that again that the 2nd District wants leaders who are focused on positivity, not negativity, on bringing people together, not divisiveness, and on finding real solutions for working families. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want good jobs, good schools, and good neighborhoods. And that was my focus the entire time, and that's what I plan to work on and deliver. Okay,
so moving forward now, obviously the people of District 2 know who you are. Looking ahead now, because now you've got to work with everybody else here now at the table.
Right.
So for those in the other districts, kind of give a quick little bit of background about who you are. I know you have an architecture background.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. So I grew up on a farm in Greenville, Tennessee, surrounded by horses and cows. And one of the sort of pivotal things that happened to me when I was young, my father actually started the local chapter of Habitat for Humanity when I was in middle school. And so he would bring me he and my brothers out to the job sites, and we would build homes for families in need every Saturday and most Sundays after church. And it really taught me a lot about community and compassion and a love of construction. And so that inspired me to go to the School of Architecture here at UT. I'm a Vol for life. I say I was there at the end of the Peyton Manning era, so I saw us win the national championship. But one of sort of the pivotal things in my life was one of my mentors in college was a man named Stroud Watson, who was the master planner behind the revitalization of Chattanooga in the 90s. And he taught me a lot about how policy and community input can shape cities. From there, when I graduated, I went down to Atlanta, worked for a big firm down there, and they sent me all over the world. But I say this all the time, Bo, the best thing I did in Atlanta was meet my beautiful wife, Amy. So she was working as a Head Start teacher down there. We quickly got married, had 2 kids, decided we didn't want to raise our family in Atlanta. We love the quality of life Knoxville has, and came back here in 2012 to raise our kids. She's now a teacher at Sheep, and I am a partner, as you say, at McCarty, Holsop & McCarty, the architecture firm here.
So you talked, obviously you're into construction, and we know the mayor talks about affordable housing has been huge, and been huge really anywhere you go these days, it seems like, but I know that's been something the mayor has been pushing.
Sure.
What do you bring to the table then? Because obviously this is still going to be a big topic for quite some time. So how can we continue to build, make it affordable, not only for the city, but the people who need to be in these homes as well?
I think it's a great point. And when I was out talking door to door with people, Making housing affordable was one of the top topics. Not just affordable housing, but making housing actually affordable for the people, not of the 2nd District, but of the city. So my sort of focus on City Council, based on the feedback I got from the community, really is threefold. One is we need a comprehensive plan as a city to manage our growth. And that comprehensive plan doesn't come from the city itself, it comes from the community. It has to be a community-driven plan that decides what kind of city we want to be in 15 years. And then that will dictate where we put infrastructure, where we put incentives, where we put our resources to make sure that we're proud of the city we hand off to the next generation. The second part is the making housing affordable part. There's a couple of key components there. I won't go into all the details, but for me it starts with density on the corridors, and a corridor is like Kingston Pike. So, because that's where we have the bus lines and the utilities and all the infrastructure already. So if we can create what I call mixed-use opportunity zones, where instead of one-story retail buildings, we get 3- and 4-story walkable mixed-use buildings with apartments and condos above them, then we can start to have a different type of housing at a different price point for people. And it doesn't impact our neighborhoods. Because that's the other part of both the plan and making housing affordable. We need to make sure that we protect the character of our existing neighborhoods.
As I said, does this go back to, I was looking at your website, you said creating a city where smart growth meets local values. It seems like that's exactly where you're going with it.
It is. I mean, so as an architect and a business owner, both, I see firsthand both the opportunities and the challenges coming to Knoxville with growth. I mean, just yesterday, our governor was on national television inviting half of New York City to move to Knoxville. So I was already, even before that, saying the secret's out. We have incredible natural beauty, we have incredible people, incredible culture. Businesses want to move here. So we need leaders who are educated and experienced and passionate about our community to not only protect what's special about Knoxville, but then guide the growth that does happen in a very smart and thoughtful way. Because at the end of the day, we need the city to be successful for us today, but ultimately to be proud of the city we hand off to our kids and grandkids.
And I was going to say, you mentioned what the governor said. We've been looking at, people moving here from California, out west as well. When I think West Knoxville, I think traffic. Is one of the first things that comes to mind. But there are a lot of different things you have to tackle here because we are seeing that. We're not at Nashville stages yet, but we are seeing that influx of people.
We are. And again, when I'm talking to people and stuff, because I hear people's concerns about growth, which is why we've got to get a comprehensive plan in place to get ahead of it. We've got to control it, we've got to understand, and because we want to guide the growth rather than the growth guide us. Because we've seen cities like Atlanta and Nashville make the mistakes, and I think if we can get a plan in place to be ahead of it, then it will happen the way we want it to happen. But I tell people all the time, we all wish we could stop growth. But asking a city not to grow is like asking your kids not to grow up. I would have loved to have frozen time with my kids when they were in 4th and 5th grade and just say, that's it, we're done, no more. Because that's the sweet spot of parenting for me, it was. But it's not possible. So as a parent, you have to save for college and get the driver's lessons and let them grow up into the great adults that they want to be, right? And so same with a city. You need to sort of be the parent and plan for the future so that hopefully when our city grows up, we're proud of it.
Obviously, Gay Street Bridge has to be a part of that somehow.
Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, your thoughts. What are we going to do down there?
A great question. Thank you for that. Softball.
Softball question.
So
I know we're building the little plaza at the end,
absolutely.
so there is progress, but
so first and foremost, I'm a preservationist at heart.
Okay.
I was fortunate this year, along with my business, to win Preservationist of the Year from Knox Heritage. So I love our history. Part of our history is what makes Knoxville, it separates us from any other city. So the Gay Street Bridge is a big part of that. I mean, it's a part of our sort of river skyline, and it's got such great memories. I think the city's taking the right steps in evaluating the bridge. We've got to do everything in our power to try to save it, if at all possible, and reopen it, hopefully to automobile traffic if possible. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work again for the next generation, then we've got to find a solution that does.
Yeah, because I know South Knoxville would love to see something there as far as for automotive traffic. I mean,
it is.
Pedestrian will be great, but the automotive.
The pedestrians and bikes. are great. But I know the South Knoxville businesses in particular, and as a business owner, I'm very business friendly and business minded. I understand that they really need the connection to Gay Street and the hotels that are on Gay Street to bring people across and make sure that those businesses are successful.
Definitely. We could have a laundry list of questions.
Sure.
We're going to have you back, and we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah,
but we
awesome.
appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
Congratulations again on the win.
Thank you, Bo.
And moving forward. And I'm sure this is not the last time that we'll be chatting.
Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone's engagement. Again, I appreciate everyone that came out and voted in the city. City elections are so important. They guide our daily lives. They are what set the tone for how we live, work, and play in Knoxville. So if anyone wants any more information, they can go to nathanforknoxville.com to learn more about me and my platform.
Sounds good. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Bo.
All right, stay with us. More of Tennessee This Week in just a moment. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. A moment ago, we heard from Nathan Honeycutt, the winner of the Knoxville City Council District 2 race. We want to bring in our panel of pundits right now to talk about what he had to say, as well as just take a look back at the election as a whole. Joining us as always, Courtney Piper, Craig Griffith, and Michael Covington. Great to see all of you here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, Bo.
First of all, your thoughts on Nathan Honeycutt coming in, talking, looking forward, some of his plans, especially when it comes to housing. Craig, let me kind of get your thoughts on maybe some of the things you heard.
Well, I appreciate his view that we need to start doing some much more long-term planning on infrastructure and on housing. It's difficult to come up with affordable housing with the way the housing market is now, but it's certainly something that we need to try to do. And then the whole the council races, I don't think there were any surprises. Some of the races were a little bit closer, and some of them were a little bit, landslide of a win. So, but that happens when you go from a primary to a general election. Things generally tighten up. So that's the election. And of course, as I said on this program many times, the sales tax referendum had an uphill battle, and that obviously was proved by the margin of defeat of that measure.
Yeah. Courtney, I want to ask you first about what Honeycutt had to say coming in, and then again get your thoughts as well as far as the election is concerned.
I am looking forward to Nathan Honeycutt serving on City Council. I'm looking forward to all the candidates who won races last week serving on City Council. What the races showed me is that Democrats are alive and well in the city of Knoxville. All the candidates, with the exception of the 3rd District, easily won their races, and their messages of prosperity for our city, forward-looking, a focus on our community and our needs, and not bringing in some of these culture war issues that are perpetuating at the national level. That's what hit with voters. And so for the life of me, I'm wondering when the Republican Party is going to understand that when they start running candidates in a city election.
Michael, ready for you to chime in. You got a smile on your face.
Well, maybe Republicans will figure out how to win in a really blue city like Knoxville, but I think we'll be all right until we figure it out. I think that the city is in good hands with the candidates that won. I was a little surprised that the failed tax referendum affected races. I think in District 6, it must have affected that race. 60-40, you would think Stan Johnson was from another country. He didn't win his own polling place. And 60-40 says he really wasn't a serious contender in the race for some reason.
Do you think it was Chilhowie?
I'm
Because both of them had a different initial reaction to the Chilhowie.
I'm certain that Denzel's firm stance from beginning to end benefited him, absolutely. I felt like Stan had some challenges that he never overcame, and Denzel had a very quiet confidence that you could see. It was recognizable. He knew he had a strong campaign and candidacy, and it carried him through.
Yeah. As far as District 6 is concerned, your thoughts, I mean, as far as the margin and how that one played out? Because I know that was one of the big ones everyone was keeping a close watch on.
Well, as we all speculated last week, what was going to be the impact of the Chilhowie Park Emerald Youth project on that race? And it seemed to have a very big effect. One of the things that you heard was from Denzel was more transparency in the projects, and I think the people in East Knoxville felt that was the case with the Chilhowie Park, that they weren't their wants and desires for that property weren't necessarily taken into consideration. So yeah, I think it was very unusual to have that issue come up in the middle of a council race.
Yeah.
I don't think, I've been watching these for a number of years now, and I don't remember anything. One of the things, though, I think is going to be interesting is watching to see if there's any changes in the voting blocks on council. Denzel now comes up, and will he be a person who seconds some of Amelia Parker's proposals now that he's on the council? I know that they don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything, but will he be a second for some of the proposals she's made, especially in terms of budgeting and things like that? I think you still have a solid block of progressives there that are going to vote on those types of issues. But it'll be interesting to watch which groups voting blocks form over the next couple of years.
And Courtney, I mean, you got 5 new faces now. Now moving forward, it will be interesting to see how this all plays out, how they try to come together as a group as well.
Absolutely. The Kincannon administration for quite a number of years has enjoyed getting to know and relationships with a set number of city council people. They knew them, they knew what motivated them, they knew what they wanted and needed for their districts. But not only that, you've got a city council that now is voted in based on their district only, not citywide. So it will shift the dynamic between the administration and city council in terms of motivations for certain projects or budget items and the like. So it'll be interesting. I'm more interested to see how the change in this election, which was district-wide, changes the dynamic of city council with the administration.
Well, we'll see how this one plays out. We do want to touch on another topic, though, and that is the Richard L. Bean Juvenile Detention Center. A newly released state study recommended several changes at the facility, also highlighting a long list of problems. The report says an undated policy and procedure manual contained minimal plans for escape, hostage taking, and fire evacuations at the facility. Camera system was also found to be dated, numerous blind spots identified throughout the facility. But the report did acknowledge that Brian Bivens and other juvenile facility staff have begun implementing new initiatives, procedures, and practices. So Courtney, let me start with you. When you saw the findings now, what kind of struck you, and were you surprised by any of this, or you're like, well, this is kind of what I expected?
Yes, Bo, I cannot believe that these problems were allowed to fester, that this juvenile detention facility was allowed to operate under these circumstances. They were housing goats in there. Give me a break. They had tens of thousands of hours of overtime that nobody could find justification for. Everything was done on paper. There's no fence around the perimeter, so anybody could just walk up there and do whatever they wanted. How on earth were county officials allowing this facility to operate with no attention put on it until very recently? Because these sorts of problems do not happen overnight. They happen over a long period of time.
Michael, what do you think?
What do you think about the goats?
I'm troubled by the goats. And I'm troubled by your intensity. I can feel it. It's palpable, believe me. My concern has always been, first and foremost, the young people. And we never talk about them. There's a child in that facility that's there for reasons not of their own doing, possibly, and they have experienced some really harsh things in their lifetime in that facility. I'm more concerned with the young people. I'm not concerned about any vacation time, any time off, any computers, any...
Well, you should be, because what it tells me is that Richard Bean was running that facility for money, for revenue, for profit, and not to take care of the juveniles he was charged to take care of. He saw them as a means to give his staff overtime, be lazy with his operations, be lazy with everything in how he ran that facility.
Okay. Let me submit to you that he was not doing the job he should have been doing.
Okay.
And I still worry about the children.
Well, yes.
I still worry about the children first and foremost. See, we've talked about, in some measure of detail, all of the things that are wrong with the facility. We've not spent time talking about the young people.
All of those things affect how we are able to provide services for those young people in that facility.
We are in agreement. Our concerns come from different vantage points. You are right, as am I. I hope those children are well taken care of. I hope someone goes in and puts their arm around the child who needs some extra and gets it for them.
Craig, I kind of see where both of them are going. I mean,
Right.
they intertwine, and you need this to take care of the kids. But Michael has a good point. We don't sometimes sit up here and just talk about the kids that are inside there.
But I think that this whole issue came to the forefront because of a whistleblower. A person who went and said that the children there are not, or the juveniles aren't getting the care that they need, the medicine that they need, the mental health services that they need, and it brought this all to the public view. And what the public view saw was years and years of a failed regulatory environment by the state, years and years of a failed regulatory oversight by the then existing juvenile detention board. They didn't do their job, the state didn't do their job, and therefore the children suffered. You know, I think that if measures had been taken earlier to make sure that they had the medical staff they needed, the mental health staff that they needed, to address the issues of the kids that are there in juvenile detention, the children would have gotten much better. And they would have hopefully broken that cycle that you see in juvenile crime, that it's a one where they get out and commit the same crimes again. And hopefully, you know, the proper staff could have addressed the children's problems in a fair and compassionate way.
All right, we're going to stop right there. We need to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. We want to talk with our panel of pundits right now about SNAP benefits. Obviously, that is one of the big topics right now all across the state. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts, the impacts here when you see what's going on right now, how many people are lining up outside of food banks or wherever it is, churches they go, the impacts that it's having here on Tennessee and people just trying to get food on their tables.
Ooh, it's a hard pill. It's very difficult to purge federal programs that are being abused so that you can restore them for the people who really need them. That's really what this boils down to. The government is shut down. I'm not going to say which party or which group are responsible. It's shut down, and it's going to stay shut down. And the folks who know they have leverage are going to allow it to continue to be shut down. Hopefully those SNAP benefits will be restored, at least partially, but the problem isn't going to go away. And opening the government will not solve the problem with food. Food is too expensive for those who can afford it. So for those who can't, what are we doing here? Let's open the government and solve some problems.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably have that same sentiment. Craig, I go into your thoughts here. I do want to remind everybody, though, real quick, that we're obviously recording this on Friday, so who knows when we're done what will happen, though it doesn't seem like a whole lot will happen until...
Well, the House isn't even in session.
Right, so I was saying, it doesn't look like anything's going to happen at all. But we heard from Governor Lee as well. We do want to mention that about putting, was it the $5 million, but into the pantries.
Right.
And not onto the cards, right?
I want to take a look at how two different organizations that have been affected by this shutdown are operating. First, you have, Governor Lee saying, well, we'll give a small amount of money in related to the overall cost, $5 million to the pantries to help with the SNAP issue. But then let's look at how the governments of Sevier County and Blount County all got together when the park was going to be shut down. Understanding that the national park is an incredible driver of their economies in Sevier and Blount counties, they got together, came up with a plan where they're going to finance the continued operation of the park during the shutdown. They filled in the gap. And I think Governor Lee could have done a much better job of filling in the gap related to the people, who are now apparently going to go hungry because they don't have their SNAP benefits. And and this is not a purge of trying to improve this program. This is simply a shutdown of the program. So when it all comes back, we'll be at the same place we were before the shutdown. So I look at the way that Blount and Sevier County handled the shutdown of in regards to the national park, and the way Governor Lee's handling it in the way to people who may go hungry.
Courtney, just over 30 seconds left, so I wanted to let you chime in here.
This administration is resisting the responsibility to feed hungry people. They do not want to feed hungry people. And I just want to let everybody sit with that, because that's what the SNAP benefits do. If you are hungry, you have food. And this administration is actively resisting that and their responsibility.
All right, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Thanks all of you for coming in. It's topics I'm sure we're going to be touching on moving forward. We look forward to seeing you next week right here on Tennessee This Week.
The views of guests on Tennessee This Week are their own and do not represent the views of WATE 6 on your side or Nexstar Broadcasting.